Let's turn now to Art Acevedo. Art Acevedo, chief of police for Houston, one of the cities beefing up its police presence ahead of the inauguration. He is also the president of the Major Cities Chiefs Association. Chief Acevedo, good to have you back. Your department has a notice out to the public in Houston to be on the lookout for threats. So far, as we understand it, you have not identified any specific threats to the area, but you're clearly not taking any chances. What's top of mind right now in terms of concerns about what those threats could look like?
Well, I think those threats could look very much like what we saw on 6 January in D.C. And at the end of the day, what we realize is that a lot of the threats are moving to alternative platforms of communications because these insurrectionists, these folks bent on sedition, they're smart enough to realize we're monitoring. And so we're not taking any chance. We are on full alert. My colleagues across the nation are on full alert. As a matter of fact, I just stepped out of a conference call with the National Fusion Center Association and the Major City Chiefs Association because we're going to be ready. We are patriots in every sense of the word, which means we stand for the rule of law and not for these cowards that attacked our Capitol.
We all know what happened in Charlottesville back in 2017, and you could really draw a through line to what happened at the U.S. Capitol last week from Charlottesville, the extremism that we're seeing, not going back into the shadows anytime soon, it would seem. And it sounds like, according to what you just said there, it's not just the FBI that's monitoring this online chatter, it's local police departments as well. What's your department in Texas doing to track and learn more about these right-wing movements to get ahead of any future violence?
Well, first of all, we're not burying our heads in the sand. We know that Texas is a hotbed for the militia movement. We know that Texas is a hotbed, sadly, our Houston area for white supremacists and hate groups. And so we are being vigilant. We're talking to our community. We're out in the streets. We have undercover officers out and about looking at these groups. And but more than anything else, we're making sure that we have a heightened sense of alert and also an understanding that we should imagine the unimaginable and be prepared for that. And so it is all hands on decks here. And I'm hopeful that the Congress will wake up and actually pass some robust domestic terrorist federal laws and statutes that will actually bring these people to justice in the future, make it clear what the consequences will be, and hopefully that will work as a deterrent to future terrorists that might attack our government.
Chief, I do want to ask you about the officer there in Houston that we found out after the fact was part of the riot in Washington. That officer has resigned. What was the reaction from your officers to the news that their colleague was there at the riot? And are there any other investigations into whether more officers were potentially involved?
Well, I can tell you that talking to a lot of my officers, they were just. I just had a meeting with one of my commanders earlier this morning, and shocked that someone would actually take not just this officer, not just my former officer, because he's no longer a member of our department. He didn't have the courage to face the police chief in a disciplinary hearing today, which was scheduled. He was noticed as required by law, but they're in shock. Sadly, we can't be surprised. You know, I've heard some reports. There's a handful of folks, I'm trying to find out who they are, that thought that was his right, that might be wearing this uniform. My message to any police officer, if you think that storming the Capitol was appropriate, then you don't need to wear the badge. And any officer that knows someone wearing the badge that has that mindset needs to report them, because we need to weed these people out. Whether you're burning buildings because you're an extremist to the left or to the right, at the end of the day, you're extreme and you don't belong wearing a police uniform anywhere in this country.
Art Acevedo, Chief, it's always good to have your perspective, and best of luck to you down there in Houston, okay? Appreciate you.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. You should know that you can follow today's top stories and breaking news and catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.